Welcome to That's the Word, wholesome tales for the whole family. I'm Father James Yamauchi. Today's story, a woman aboard the submarine. Boom. The impact shook the submarine from bow to stern. Roger leapt to his feet. He and his crewmates did not know it yet, but a fishing boat had just ripped open their submarine like a tin can. In less than 5 minutes, their submarine would be resting on the ocean floor. Roger and his crewmates worked quickly to secure the room they were in, sealing off doors and adjusting valves. Water was pouring in from the top hatch. Roger scaled the ladder to secure the hatch, but was knocked back against the side of the shaft by a swift blow to the face. Several sailors had managed to escape through the hatch, but the hatch had closed on one of the sailor's legs, trapping him. Roger pushed the hatch open enough to free the sailor. The water rushed in through the open hatch, flushing Roger down the ladder and slamming him into the deck below. Water continued to pour in through the hatch onto Roger. Even though the water pushed to close the hatch, the bolts were still extended, preventing the hatch from completely closing. Like a person pushing against a door with the deadbolt extended, the sea would never close the hatch. However, to retract the deadbolt, you have to stop pushing on the door. And to retract the bolts, someone would need to first lift the hatch slightly, fighting against the full weight of the ocean. Lifting the hatch now would be equivalent to lifting 2 cars off the ground. It was impossible. If the hatch was not closed, Roger and the 21 men in the forward room would drown. As he was washed around the compartment, Roger saw his life flash before his eyes. That's when he saw her. She was in the compartment with him. He looked at her face. He remembered the prayer he had learned from her. Lord, I want to go with you so that I can be with you in heaven. Thinking that he was about to die, Roger prayed, Lord, I want to go with you so that I can be with you in heaven. Roger opened his eyes. Water was filling the compartment, but he felt a newfound strength. Reaching for the ladder, he began to drag himself up, rung by rung, hooking his arms around each rung, fighting the torrent of water spraying down at him from above. When he reached the hatch, he pushed up and began spinning the wheel to retract the bolts. Against the force of 4 tons of water, Roger managed to lift the hatch just enough to retract the bolts and close the hatch. The water stopped pouring in. The crew had been saved. Providentially, the submarine only sank to a depth of 140 feet, or 43 meters, allowing rescuers to reach the men in the forward compartment. All but one of the sailors in the forward compartment survived. As for the woman aboard the submarine, she was dead. Dead 26 years before the submarine sank. In fact, Roger had never met her. A year before the accident, Roger had read her biography and learned her prayer while recovering in a hospital staffed by this woman's sisters. This woman is who First Lieutenant Roger Katrina Alvarado claimed appeared to him, and through her prayers gave him the superhuman strength to close the hatch and save his men. 14 years after the accident, the Vatican officially recognized the event as miraculous. This miracle became the beatification miracle for this woman, a Croatian who founded the Congregation of the Daughters of Mercy and established houses across Europe and Latin America, where sisters work in nursing homes, schools, hospitals, and parishes. A woman who interceded for the men aboard the Peruvian submarine BAP Pacocha. A woman named Blessed Maria Pekovic. And for this week, that's the word. If anybody is familiar with Croatian names and we misspoke the beatified lady's name, please let us know.
Maria Petkovic.
There we go. That's what I said.
The beatified lady's name.
Yeah, well, if I got it right, I want to, end on a high note there. I don't want them to mess up her name. Beautiful name.
Mm-hmm. But she's also Croatia's first female saint, and that's our dog.
That is our dog. I wonder why he's barking. He must approve of how you just said her name.
Clearly.
Blessed Maria. How about I just say that? Blessed Maria. But speaking of, this is actually perfect because we wanted to make sure that you all knew that as children of a military officer, we know some military lingo. But I did not want to say over and over again throughout the episode, dogs, when referring to the bolts.
Yes, the bolts on the hatch, actually more like latches really, are called dogs. But yeah, the story was confusing enough already. We weren't going to add an additional layer of confusion by using unfamiliar terminology throughout the story.
So pray for the intercession of Blessed Maria that one day she may be canonized.
And speaking of the submarine, so this was something interesting in the research it was an American submarine. It was called the USS Atule. I feel much less bad about mispronouncing that name because it's the name of a fish.
Is it really?
Yes. But anyway, the USS Atule was Atul. I don't know.
Atule. Right?
Yes.
I've never seen that on the menu. Who eats that fish?
I don't know. I don't know who would eat that fish.
It could be a rare delicacy.
It could be a rare delicacy. Or it's also called a yellowtail scad.
Okay.
It looks like Atule is the scientific name. Okay, so it's Atule.
Atule.
Okay. I feel comfortable saying the name now.
So anyway, it was originally a U.S. submarine.
Right. It was a submarine during World War II. It saw action in the Pacific stage in the Pacific front. And it actually sunk a number of Japanese vessels and Japanese warships during the war, which makes it kind of interesting that it got sunk by a Japanese fishing boat.
It was a Japanese fishing boat?
Yes.
Oh.
If you want to learn more about this and get some more detail on the miracle, one place that we found going through the research is a documentary called The Miracle of the Pacocha.
And that's incredible that the Vatican investigated that and used that to be able to show that a miracle did happen. It's a miraculous story in the fullest sense of the word.
It's a very unique story.
Very unique story. Speaking of stories,
if you enjoy That's the Word, please share the word. Our website is sonsofthunderrock.com. That's where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter and leave us feedback.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday for another wholesome tale for the whole family.